everyone, and welcome back to another Blast of Ballroom. This is a segment where we do some follow-ups to some of our ballroom technique online classes. And so we just want to try to provide some short and quick little practice exercises of techniques and elements that you can practice on your own to be a better partner for your partner. So in today's segment, we're going to talk about balance steps. And this is a great segment to connect to the very first segment we worked on when we were working on understanding parts of our foot and where our weight sits over our feet. This element is most commonly taught initially in waltz, and it's going to come in very handy for your foxtrot and quick step as well, and later on for practicing Viennese waltz, most especially when you don't have a lot of space. So the first element is forward and back balance steps. And just for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to begin with my left foot. Generally, if you're a gentleman or a leader, you would begin this exercise with your left foot, also known as the forward half. If you're a lady and you want to practice these elements, it might be easier for you to begin with the right foot. As usual, you would begin with the back half first. Okay, so for now, I'm starting with the left foot. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a step forward, and then we're going to change weight and replace. Now you'll notice that I did not put this heel down. A balance step is meant to really make us aware of our balance, and that's why they call it balance steps. So your balance and your centering over each foot is very important. This is what makes you a strong partner and very light on your feet. So you will move forward onto the left foot from heel to ball. You'll use the ball of the second step to change weight and then simply replace. The right foot will then be free to move back. Use the ball of the left foot to change weight and replace. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll show you from the side profile. If you're doing the forward half first, you're beginning by moving your left foot. Make sure that you're powering from the supporting foot. You will land from the heel through the ball of the foot, ball, ball, flat. You move back from the ball to the heel, using the ball of the left foot to push up and down. And you really want to practice this using slow waltz music so that you work on being aware of where your weight is over which foot and being able to comfortably transition through rise and fall and moving your weight forward and backward. And then, of course, when you're able to practice with a partner, I recommend doing this first in practice hold, so you can each just work on moving in unison, and then gradually move up to the proper dance hold so that you can really feel the synchronicity of the movement. And then, of course, with music to make sure that your meter stays consistent. So those are the forward and back balance steps. In Viennese waltz, this forms a great practice element to work on getting comfortable with your speed. Now the difference here is there's no rise and fall. You'll notice I'm not stretching up through the legs. I'm simply just swinging back and forward and back and forward. My focus is still to think about projecting my body weight and making sure that I'm over each foot. So you don't want to be doing stuff like this because that means you are throwing your legs out first. And when your weight is chasing your feet, you're never going to feel like you're catching up to the music, and in fact, you won't be. You'll always be kind of running after it. So make sure you're projecting forward through your center, and you're always over that foot. Be over the foot. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In fact, if you're using this to practice Viennese waltz, I have a little mind trick I use to practice this. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, especially if you're first starting out with Viennese, we're already under the stress of the fact that we know it's a much faster waltz. So I play a little mind trick, and instead of calling it 1, 2, 3, I label it as slow and Now I know that's not the correct or proper labeling of the rhythm or the timing, but I have noticed that with my students, once I stopped labeling it as 1, 2, 3, I could see their bodies started to relax more and they were able to keep up with the timing. There's some kind of little trick in your brain that just kind of allows you to relax when you're not hearing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's just from a little experiment I've done through my years of teaching. So give it a shot, see if it works for you. So I would count it as slow and 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 slow. Now you'll notice I am still indeed changing weight. I am just not making as much of a production about going up. And this is why there is no rise and fall in Viennese Waltz. My apologies. It is similar to tango in that way. And a lot of people are surprised to hear that tango and Viennese Waltz have a lot of techniques in common. Okay, so that's the main thing that's going to help you practice just moving your body and getting into the rhythm of the Viennese Waltz. Okay, let's go back to slow waltz and we're going to talk about some side balance steps. The same principle applies. We are moving over, so we're going to start with our left side. We're going to move over to our left side and push up through the ball and down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm staying low as I roll over to the side, and I'm using the ball of my foot to push up on the second step, which is the second beat. Remember that the accent in waltz is on beat 2, as is where our rise is, of our rise and fall. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is a great exercise to practice the awareness of where your rise and fall actually occur and to practice controlling that. For Viennese Waltz, your practice would be very, very similar, just of course no rise and fall. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Slow and slow and slow and slow and you'll notice here I'm using some swing action or sway to really help me feel a little bit lighter and have some more flow. So really, we need to always think about creating the flow of energy. Where's your energy coming from and where is it going to? So I know a lot of these Ballroom Blast follow-up videos have really focused on feet and legs. And this is just to give you a visual so you can understand where to place your weight in relation to your feet. But you really must understand that everything is weight and energy driven. Where's your weight and or energy coming from? And where is your weight and or energy going to? Okay. So right now we've got 2 balance steps that we can practice. So in slow waltz, we would have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is fantastic practice for directional changes and really getting comfortable with rise and fall and your weight changes. The same thing applies to Viennese Waltz, except of course no rise and fall, and we work on speeding it up a little wee bit. Make sure you always start compress to move. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. Slow and slow and slow and slow and slow and slow and The last balance step I like to talk about has been called a balancette, but is most widely known as a whisk step. And you'll find this in a variety of ballroom dances as well as dances like samba. So if we begin with the left foot, we take a side step for 1. Now instead of just collecting together, what will happen is you're bringing the foot slightly behind in almost a fifth position, foot position. So you'll just bring that foot behind on a 45-degree angle, and from there you're using that angle to push up. This will require your right hip to open up slightly. Same thing on the right side, and open. Be careful you don't swing your hip out too far open. It will disconnect you from your partner. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Of course, this also makes for a fantastic element to practice your Viennese waltz timing as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, slow and slow and slow and slow and I really can't emphasize enough how important it is to start small. Really get lots of practice, lots of repetition on these basic yet important elements. Keep them small, gain confidence, gain experience, and you will naturally start to expand the length of your strides as well as your repertoire. Let's put all 3 of these elements together. We'll do it first in slow waltz and then Viennese waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice I just put a forward and back balance step in between the side balance and the whisk step. I just did that so that the two could be differentiated from each other. In Viennese waltz, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Once you've practiced it in a stationary fashion for a while, I would recommend you doing some repetition while rotating it. And the easiest direction to rotate it right now is counterclockwise. So I might keep it very simple and just work on forward and back just for a little bit. So with slow waltz, we would have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a great way to help you navigate rotation without the stress of trying to think about a side step just yet. Again, practice the smaller elements, get really, really comfortable, and then move on. Let's do the same thing with Viennese waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, slow and 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 Make sure that when you are practicing balanced steps, you are transferring your weight, especially in Viennese waltz. Sometimes I see people doing what I call cheater steps, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice what I'm doing? That is not actually a balance step. That is what we call a hesitation step. And just as the name calls it, we're hesitating here. A balance step is designed to change weight. We talked about hesitation steps a little bit in our tango boxes. They are two completely different elements. So make sure that you don't confuse the two. Let's try this practice with a little bit of music.
I try to fly away, but it's impossible. And every breath I take gives birth to deeper sighs. And for a moment I am weak, so it's hard for me to speak. Even though we're underneath the same blue sky,